Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's edition of the JR the Handler Show. Thank you guys for tuning in again this week. Got a great show lined up. Should be a really fun conversation. This is going to be a different one than you've had the last 9 episodes, as in most of those folks were friends of mine I've had for a long time and I knew really, really well. This week's guest is a new friend from the road who I don't know as well, but it's a great guy, got a great story, I'm sure. Really been enjoying getting to see him a lot lately. He's the tour manager for Dylan Carmichael, who, if anybody has listened to me, and he's one of my favorite newer country acts coming up, a Kentucky guy. We'll get into all that, but this week's episode features Dylan's tour manager, who's a new friend of mine, who's got history in the rock world, in the country. We've done a lot of shows together lately, so we've become fast friends. I saw him this past weekend and thought, man, great opportunity. Let me go ahead and get him on so we can talk about what's been happening recently on the road, as well as his story and his tie-in with a big story that's been in the news lately. Also, to give a different perspective than someone who I've known for a long time, like most of my guests we've had so far. So y'all stick with us. We'll be right back here on the JR the Handler Show with episode 10, Gary Pettus. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome back to the JR the Handler Show. This week's guest is going to be a real treat. Like I mentioned earlier, most of the guests I've had on I've been friends with for a long time. And this is a newer friend I've met on the road. We've had a great time getting to know each other over the past year or so, I'd say. I've done several shows together so far this year, just did a show together last week. It's Dylan Carmichael's tour manager, Gary Pettus, in the house. How are you, brother Gary?
What's up? How you doing, brother? I like your shirt.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, and the hat.
And the hat. Oh, I haven't seen the hat before. That's styling.
And I'll tell you a story on this.
You're higher up on the ladder than me, so I didn't get one of those.
I'm just good at getting. I'm good at getting the freebies, buddy. If somebody's giving something out, I'll take one. You know what I mean? But no, I wanted DC's merch from the first time I met him because I knew he was so good. And I just fell in love with him. Like you and I talked on the phone a couple of days ago. You had the similar first impressions, and just such a big fan of his that when I got a chance early on and he had some good merch, I was like, I'm going ahead. I'm representing this guy. And you'll notice that if you ever see me wearing somebody's merch, it's because I believe in them. I don't wear stuff because I think it's cute or looks cool or whatever. If I'm wearing it, it's because I'm trying to help them to the next level. You know what I mean?
That's the way it's supposed to be. That's cool.
Absolutely. The grassroots effect. You know, that's how we all had to do it back in the day. You represent your buddies. I still do that. And and with this hat, totally. I'll give a quick story on this hat. It's got this, it's just a really kick-ass green color, which you don't see a lot. And so I purposely leave this hat at home and wear it very sparingly because this is my Christmas hat. During Christmas time, I wear my green hat and my red gear. That way I'm in the Christmas spirit. And this is last several years, this has been dedicated as my Christmas hat. So welcome everybody to the Christmas hat to this show as well. But but it's I got these early on and I've been representing ever since. And I was looking at your backdrop. I said that and I forgot to hit record earlier, but man, you've got a cool setup in your office. You know, most everybody's using their garage, but you got a pretty sweet setup.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, this is just that eclectic mass of stuff that you collect over the years. You know, you just there's stuff here from, I don't know, before I was born, some of it.
Right.
Right, you know.
I know.
There's some cool stuff in here. I just enjoy being around it, man. It's kind of inspiring, you know.
Exactly. Well, you can tell we're of the same era. We're of the same era and generation because if you look around my room, it's the same. It's just, you know,
that's killer.
You know, I just wall to wall, just anything.
It's like cool stuff. I like the wrestling mask over there. That's killer.
You like that? I got that in Mexico too.
Got
shook down at the airport a little bit, but I was like, hey, I didn't think I had to declare my wrestling mask. It's just my wrestling mask.
What? Are you serious?
Kind of, sort of.
That's crazy.
We flew back private, and then they were asking me to anything to declare, and I made the joke, just a wrestling mask. And that guy looked at me like I might as well have said I was bringing a kilo of Peruvian marching powder. And I was like, he was like, well, how many wrestling masks did you get? I'm like, I mean, like 2. I wanted to buy them all. I was making a joke. I got 2 wrestling masks. They're just these little, and there's nothing, I mean, the inside out, it's just a little piece of fabric. But anyway, I'm proud of it myself. That's a good one there.
That is a good one. I like that one. It's a good story. It comes behind each and everything on the wall behind you. I guarantee you. Yeah.
There's a story behind every one of them. It really is.
Yeah. That's really the cool thing about having all this stuff. I mean, sometimes you just want to minimize and get rid of everything. And then you're like, wait a minute, this stuff's cool. You know, I got fire helmets in here from Dad when he was a firefighter and all kind of other cool stuff. It's really cool. I like it.
Yeah, and you know, it's like it just kind of, not living in the past, but just kind of reminds you, and you remember the story, and you remember something from an event or where you got it and who gave it to you or something. It's just passing things along. You know, it's good for the brain too, I think. You know, and I do the same thing. Sometimes I just want to get rid of everything, and then other times I'm like, what am I can't get rid of my stuff. It's my stuff. You know.
Yeah. Right.
But anyway, well, we'll get into some of your stuff. Man, like I mentioned a minute ago, we're new friends. We've just become friends over the past year or so, gotten to do a lot of shows together. So I'm interested in hearing your story. I know you come from the rock world.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I know you're obviously working with our buddy DC now, who's Stone Cold Kentucky Country. Where did you grow up, and how did this musical journey start for you? Did you play music? Your family play music? How did all that start?
I started out as a trumpet player.
Really?
A long time ago. Yeah. Started out as a trumpet player and then found out you get more girls if you play guitar. So you know how that is.
There's that.
And that was in junior high. And then, high school, it progressed up, and I was like, man, I kind of like this, I just like enjoyed performing. I had my own band. We played recently and crap like that. Nothing outrageous. Cover band, that stuff. And try to write your own music. Recorded a few things. Look at it now and you're like, yeah, that wasn't going to work out. But anyway, it was fun, man. I went from that to, I wanted to get into law enforcement. Tried that for a minute. And then I got back into this and working in a music store in Charlotte, North Carolina is where I'm from. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah. You asked me, and I didn't even answer. But yeah,
that's okay.
Started out there, and just grew up here. Still live here. Love it, man. It's home,
Right. Yeah.
But I went for.
It's an easy place to for us. It's an easy place to travel from too. You got an airport that can get you anywhere.
Yeah, I mean anywhere, definitely
anywhere.
And you don't live in Nashville.
No,
do you?
And when I I live in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and so when I travel, I have to drive to Pensacola to go to the airport, and then most of the times I'm going to Charlotte or Atlanta or Dallas before I go anywhere. There's no directs from Pensacola. So I've said that's one of the advantages of living in a major market like a Chicago or a Charlotte or an Atlanta or Dallas or Houston. Man, you get a lot of directs. You can go places direct. Artist Justin Moore, same thing. He's in Central Arkansas, so you got to go from Little Rock. And there's just not a lot of directs from these places, so that's not a bad spot to be, really. And Charlotte's kind of the central part of the East Coast, so you can get around easy. Hop over to Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, when I go to Nashville though, I drive.
Yeah.
I just like the silence.
Yep. Two of our bus drivers still live. Our busing company is based out of North Carolina. SET, the trucking company use. And our
absolutely.
musical coaches, our bus that does 2 of our buses.
Absolutely.
They're based out of North Carolina, and our 2 drivers are from one of them's from Mount Airy. So he
not far from me.
Right. So he drives, and he's like, hell, I just like to drive. It's pretty, and I just the quiet before I get on the bus with all the chaos. It's his moment of quiet. And that's the tough thing for me is the flying, buddy. Woo, having that chaos just to go right into the blender of a show is brutal sometimes.
Yeah, because you're at the mercy of somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of somebody else's. And, it just interrupts your day. It kind of puts a kink in it sometimes, and sometimes it's great. I know when we did a show in Talladega, right?
Yes.
You had flown in to that, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I had to fly
and that was a hell of a rough day.
Yeah.
From a graduation? Yeah. Something like that.
No.
What was that?
No, Dega actually, we flew in the night. We had a show the night before in Georgia, but I had to fly to Nashville to go to Georgia to go to Talladega.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then turn around and go. And then I still had to go back there to fly home when it's just right there, but it just didn't work out. I had to drive myself everywhere, and you don't want to do that all the time. But Justin had to leave because he had something the next day. We had to get out of. We had a golf tournament the next day to Arkansas. Yeah, and I had to fly home after that. Yeah. You tell people our travel plans sometimes that they think we were nuts. And I'm like, yes, we are nuts, but this is what it takes to make it work. But no, it's the travels is a big tough part of ours. But that's cool. You still live in North Carolina. So you grew up there. Mom and dad play music?
No, Mom played trumpet in marching band when she was in high school, and that was it. And I kind of got that secondhand. I still have that, the one she played. And
that's cool.
Did that, but grew up here. No, mom later became a school teacher in the school system, and dad was a Charlotte firefighter his entire career, and did a lot of NASCAR stuff. When he retired, he got to retire early, so then he started driving NASCAR RVs, or now they have Prevos.
Right, and those Newells. They even have those Newells.
Oh yeah,
super spaceship tour buses. Yeah,
super nice. Yeah, so he did that, and then he, you can't never retire. I just can't figure out how he kept on going until he was about 80. It's like crazy. He's still out there doing it. Yeah, but he loved it so much. But I did that. Like I was saying earlier, I was working in a music store, and then I started doing production work when my band wasn't playing. I learned how to use all the PA stuff,
because you had to figure out how to use the PA for your own band.
Yeah, you had to figure it out anyway. So then other bands that didn't have quite as much gear as we did, and they were playing the same venues, wanted to rent our PA. So we'd go in, set it up for them, and I'd end up engineering for them. Next thing you know,
money that way.
Make a little side money, whatever. And next thing you know, I was mixing sound in all the little local venues around Charlotte. Worked my way up,
but self-taught audio engineer.
Actually, no. I had a lot of good mentors. There's a company in There's a company in Charlotte called Alpha Sound and Light. Ken Patterson later went on and worked at Bandit Lights. Was the lighting guy. Great company. And Al Forbes that ran this company called Alpha Sound, and his team, Buddy Boss, and all those guys. Had it not been for me able as a kid hanging out and looking over their shoulder,
Yep.
I wouldn't have learned nothing. And they were like, this kid wants to learn. So they taught, and that's kind of how it is nowadays. That's how we do.
Yep.
We're both teachers. You call us tour managers, but we're teachers.
Right.
Think about
especially where we're at, especially at our stage in our careers. We're not the young guns anymore. We're not on the learning curve. I still learn things. But
I still learn every day, but
yeah,
still.
For sure.
But we're just teachers.
Yeah.
Had a lot of good mentors.
Point. Yeah, if it wasn't for good mentors, I was going to ask about. That was one of my closing questions. Was your mentors? We'll go ahead and answer that one now, because I'm the same way. Had I not had those great mentors, and now there's a lot more resources. Like you can watch a video what you think people are supposed to do for tour managing, and stuff like that, and go to school for it. But I didn't know that was an option, and
it wasn't.
It wasn't. I was just lucky enough to meet the first guy who was a little bigger than the guy, or that had a tour manager, and watch what they did, and then watch the next one, and then kind of the same with you. They realized, well, I care, and I wasn't going anywhere. They might as well teach me what I need to know, kind of deal.
Yeah,
and then along the way, you pick up a little piece of all of them.
Show.
Yeah, that's why we're running late today. I told you before. I had a lady call me from Minnesota right before. I said, well, I better take this, because if I don't, she won't answer when I call her. If you need to take it, go ahead.
No, I'm going to do an advance on your podcast.
You should. Awesome. Yeah, we'll show them what it's really like in the business. Show them how we got to whittle the numbers down. And she asked me today, she's like, you have 40 for catering for breakfast. How many realistically do you think will eat breakfast? I said, well, I'd like to give you a number which I really think would probably be realistic, but if I give you that number, then that specific day, everyone will decide to eat breakfast. You know what I mean? But if I tell you it's going to be everybody, then not everybody's going to eat. That's just the way it works. It's like if if you book an extra hotel room because you might need a cleanup room or a sick room or something, you book one for 100 days in a row, no one needs it. The first day you don't book one, somebody sick needs a sick room. Every time. So
I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, but most of the times it's better to go ahead and just be prepared,
That's
prepare
all you
for the worst.
Yeah.
and hope for the best.
That's it. Be flexible and be flexible.
Yeah. Oh, that's the key behind this. Is being flexible, because everything changes last minute.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep. This
Yeah.
show's
And if
this
you
show's
don't
3
think,
days
if you
from
don't
now.
think it, if you don't think it ain't going to change, you're not in tune.
Yeah, as soon as you get too comfortable thinking it's not going to change, boom,
Yeah.
it's about to change. You could be so comfortable at that last second, here comes that text, and it just changes everything around. And
Don't get too comfortable.
No, don't get too comfortable. But that's when we kick in, and you just have to get it done. Whatever it takes, whatever, knowledge and experience kicks in with what you've got, the tools you have to work with, and you just have to come up with the best option.
Yeah, man. And that's the fun part of it, I think. That's the exciting part of it. There's always a solution. There's always a solution.
I say
or
that,
else I still wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Exactly. There's always a workaround, and there's always a workaround. If somebody says there's no real black and white, it's all kind of gray, but everything's got to get done, and the show must go on. The show has to happen. We have to have the show.
Oh yeah.
No matter
Absolutely.
if backstage and everything else was just total cluster all day and nothing looked organized and nothing went the way it should have. As long as the show goes off, everything else is okay. The show has to go off.
Right. Nobody's screaming my name.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or why or going to bed dreading that phone call the next day. But that's the thing. When you've done it as long as we have, you kind of have learned, and through our mentors and peers that we learn from, you already kind of know the consequence. I call it handler vision. It's kind of like you already pro and con it in your head. You pro and con it. You know what's probably going to happen. You know what could happen. And then you're weighing the percentages of which one of these is going to happen. And then what could happen if this happens. And you really just have to pro and con. But then you could pick up, and that's the thing we get paid to do, is pick a plan. We have to say, all right, this is what we're going to do. Because if you ask 10, 20 people their opinion, we'll never get a plan together. We'll never have a plan of action. So we make the decision, but we also have to know when new information enters the room or enters the equation, we got to be willing to shift and pivot with any new thing that may pop up, and that could be at any time in any severity. It's it's once you pick a plan, this could be what you definitively know we need to get done. But then when the new information comes in, something we may have to pivot it completely the other way. All right, now that's okay. Well, they're going to be here then. All right, well, this is what we're going to do. Boom.
Right. And I saw a great quote this morning. It's like, if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, but never the goal.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
We got a goal. We might have to adjust, move left, move right, whatever. But the ultimate part of it is reaching the goal. And I like that.
Yep.
And that's what we do.
Yeah, and make sure everyone knows.
You got to be transparent. You got to be transparent.
With the people who need to. Now, and that's another thing that falls on us. How much of what information do we give to who? Some people don't need all the information. The band might need different information than the production team, or the artist might need different information from the management or the venue, or it just – It's a little dance.
You gotta
we have to do
delegate the information to the right people at the right time.
Exactly,
because you do.
Yeah,
because it could get confusing, you know, and we got to keep track of what we've told and said, and who knows what, and how and
and we need everybody to do their specific thing, not try to do somebody else's thing. It's like, no, you do that.
Yeah.
We'll work. Well, if you know that, then you're going to be thinking about how you could fix that. I don't need you to think about that. I need you to focus on this.
Well, yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, definitely 100%.
Well, so you're running around Charlotte, mixing shows at all the venues. What size venues are this? Is this like touring acts coming through town, or is this mostly local regional stuff?
Yeah. There's a lot of local regional stuff, and then we had this place called Tremont Music Hall. It's a pretty killer venue. It's pretty nice. And they used to have regional acts come through there. I go in, do monitors, go in, do mains. This is the first time I met a great singer for this cool ass rock band. We talk about it, but anyway, I met him and I was doing monitors for him one night, and I got my leg up and started. Word got out. Hey, this guy's pretty good. You might want to hire him if you want somebody on the road, kind of thing. And that's kind of how it went. I got hired and went out on the road with this band that just got signed with Atlantic Records, and one of our major first tours was support for Hootie and the Blowfish.
Wow.
way back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So, and
we might as well dump. We might as well. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. Sorry.
I was going to say, I mean, that's how I found out real quick what a tour manager was, because I got hired as an audio engineer kind of guy, to go in and help, just make it sound good.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was good at. And when I rolled up into the parking lot that day and I saw our lead singer pointing over at me as we come piling out of this old 15-passenger van, and this dude comes walking up and he goes, "Okay, Gary, tour manager, come here. And I'm going to teach you what you need to do every day. I need you to check in merch. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Come in here. We'll get the credentials. At the end of the night, do you want to check or do you want cash?" I'm sitting there going, what the is this guy talking about?
I'm the monitor guy.
I push faders.
You're right. Wow.
And that's how Gary got dumped into it. That was back in the early 90s.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. What year was this when you met this act, and who was the act?
Band was called Heart Soul Poets, and another band that went out with the same thing. I left that band and went to another band on Atlantic Records called Athenaeum out of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Gotcha. So that was early 90s.
Yeah, early 90s.
Early 90s. So then you drift off. You get out of the van. This guy's asking you all these questions. You have no idea what he's talking about.
I thought he was speaking Portuguese. I had no idea what this guy was talking about. Settlement? What settlement?
Because nobody in your outfit was probably at a point in their career they had a tour manager yet, so they didn't even know they need to hire one. Probably didn't. They
didn't even know about these things either.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I had no idea. And so management's not there figuring this stuff out. It's early in a rock career. So this is literally how it happened. This happens the same with me, and coming up with Wayne Mills in the dirt circuit coming out of the South was similar. You just figure it out. You know what I mean? We didn't know. Nobody told us nothing. We just kind of saw when a couple other bigger bands would come through or we'd get to open for, and we kind of just make some notes. But nobody was telling you how to do anything. You just there was no real managers. A manager was a guy who owned a bar or something, maybe.
That's true. We were writing our own playbook back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't start on a computer. I had spiral notebooks, It
Yep.
was spiral notebooks, and I lined one off so I could keep like a ledger, so I could become like the tour accountant, etc. I went on and did that later in life. That was pretty fun too. And then you're wearing those hats. You have to hire other people to kind of pick up the slack.
Right.
That's when you've got like the luxury of a production assistant, which
Yeah. When you get to a level, you got to have one. When you've got
you got to have them.
You can't. There's only so much bandwidth and man that one man or gal can get covered in a day. When a band gets to a certain level.
Your crew gets bigger, everything gets bigger. So you got to spread the mayonnaise a little thinner.
Yeah, exactly. But everything was the same as it is now, except for, like you mentioned, we have all these computers to do things, and it's hard to even remember back. And people now couldn't realize the way of getting things done from using the atlas to figure out where you need to go because there was no GPS, to not having contacts in your phone because you don't have a phone. I used to have like it looked like baseball card book, but it was business cards from everywhere we played. And you'd pull over to a payphone to call the venue to make sure someone would be there to let you in, because if someone did have a cell phone, it probably didn't work wherever remote part of the country we were in.
Yeah.
And then there was no check the contract online or any of this. It's just you just had to talk to somebody, know the deal, write things out. I mean, no computers on the road. I mean, very minimum stuff. And that's how it was up until like 15 years ago, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, technology is an amazing thing. It sure did make this job easier. I mean, you're talking about pulling over on the side of the road and calling from a payphone that don't even exist anymore. But I can remember pulling over on the side of the road and handing my lead singer a roll of quarters to do a phoner.
Right. Right. Wow. Yep.
What's that noise? Oh, that's another truck going by,
Yeah. It was
just the way it was back then, but it was fun, and that's how you learn. But look at what we got now. I mean, I'm sitting here. The phone alone. The Master Tour app. Good Lord.
Yeah. I know, right?
It
Well,
just took a ton of weight off your shoulders right there, right?
yes, and well, and like we was talking the other day about this the chat group with all the tour managers and things like that, and there's videos. I mean, there's
And thank you for letting me be a part of that.
yes, for sure, brother. And things like that. It's just a wealth of research, and even being able to just to call another. If you know one other tour manager, you can call or text them now if you have a question. Back then, you may know 10, but you can't get them on the phone if you have a question right that second.
Exactly.
And your agent, you call your agent, and it's not, it's just, it's insane. But everything got done then, just like it gets done now.
Yeah. But I feel like we're more efficient now because we have more tools than we used to. We used to.
Hey,
there you are.
Hey, man, I don't know if
Man,
it's me or you.
I'm gonna have to holler at Elon Musk. My Starlink might have an unstable connection.
Are you on Starlink?
Yeah, man. I travel with this thing. I love it.
I do too, man. I was just telling someone earlier about a touring musician buddy of mine. I have one as well here. I keep with me if I ever need it. I have fiber to my studio here at home. But I had ordered the Starlink way before we ever got fiber. I was on back order forever because they didn't offer it in my area because I'm in, Alabama.
Yeah.
But so I got fiber, but I kept the Starlink anyway. And yeah, we take it when we travel. I use it here if there's a problem. It's usually pretty solid. And I was telling him we have them all on our tour buses now. Our buses have Starlink on them now.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And it's great, except for it's like satellite. If we don't have a clear shot to the sky, it doesn't work as well. Mm-hmm. So now they make a newer cellular hotspot that's supposed to work better than the old ones, the jump pack deals. But we have the Starlink on the buses now. They're great. Usually hold up. And it does have a little lag here and there sometimes, but I mean, compared
it depends, but
yeah.
Compared to dial-up modem.
Yeah, well, even like that on the tour buses. Now our tour buses have internet and all these things. I mean, back in the day, you had to tune in TV channels if you were lucky to be close enough to a city or the radio. And now you got streaming stuff, and I mean, it's just crazy. We used to read magazines and play cards. Now everybody plays games on their phone and stuff. It's wild. Well, let's go back to the journey out of the great state of North Carolina. So you're in North Carolina. You're working with the band that signed to Atlantic. You're on the road. You realize, wow, we got to get a tour manager because I don't know what these guys are talking about. What were the steps there, and what led you? How did you transition from being audio into TMing?
Well, you wear both hats. That's what you do. You're a tour manager, front of house guy,
Right.
And also a production manager. Didn't know what that was until I really, really needed one. But later on, I mean, you wore both hats. You did both jobs. You wore the merch hat too sometimes. But transitioned into being the tour manager and stayed at front of house. I mean, when I first started with, I worked for Three Doors, and when I first started with them, I was tour manager, front of house.
For Three Doors Down. Now, where was that path from those bands till you started working for them?
Okay, so that was in like 99, the end of 99. My band was going to make another record. Of course, I was lucky enough to be held on retainer, and help them out and get them started. And would you be willing to do it? Because I know your boys are going in the studio. I was like, yeah, man, I'll go do it. So 3-4 months later, I'm out there just nailing it, man. And my band finally calls me and goes, hey, man, we're getting dropped. Hope you can find a gig. Well, I was there, so I stayed. Obviously, was going to stay anyway, because that was a conversation I didn't want to tell them, the older band, just like, hey.
So that made that breakup for you a lot easier. Saved you a little dirty work.
Yeah, it did. And it wasn't, and them had kept me on retainer for so long, I felt obligated to give it back to them. You know what I mean? Because I've been out there. And when I told the singer that called me and said, hey, this is what's happened to us. And I was like, man, I feel bad. You've had me on retainer all this time. So I want to get it back into your hands. He goes, screw that, man. That was label money. They're never back. Just keep it. And I was like, okay, kind of thing. Right. I was like, still didn't feel right, but it all worked out.
Yeah. Well,
but it was good.
And that's then, that's just the way stuff works sometimes. It does, for whatever reason, things happen, and acts come and go, and careers paths change for artists and the touring personnel like us alike. So it worked good timing for you though, because you'd already found a new act that you liked, and they were going to be having plenty of work.
Yeah, I mean, 5 months into it,
they're rocking.
Yeah, that was the 99 rolling into 2000. So 3 Doors in 2000. And it's like, 5-6 months into that, I was getting handed a gold record. And I was like,
5 months in, you're getting a gold record. These guys had already been rocking.
Something big.
Yeah, and when you first meet them, though, and we'll get to that with Brad Arnold and that whole bunch, good old Mississippi boys making good old rock and roll.
Big time.
How was that when you first interacted with them, like outside of like a work setting, when you were like, you first got to know each other? Did you know instantly, like, these are some good guys, this is going to be a good ride?
Right out the gate, man. As soon as I walked into the building, it was just like, first off, Brad stood up and he looked at me and goes, I know you. And I was like, I think I know you too. He goes, you're that really mean guy in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, that night at that show. And I asked you a question. You didn't have time to talk to me. I just pushed the intro tape for my band to start, right? Intro's rolling. I'm unmuting channels. And this guy wants to ask me how this band got signed.
And it's Brad.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't know that at the time. I was just like, I was like, I'll talk to you later kind of thing. And then later we were loading out in our little U-Haul in our van, loading up. We were on tour with Sister Hazel at the time. Great band. And he came walking by and I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry I was rude to you inside, but, let's chat. And we chatted for a few minutes and he left and went on his way. And I think it was 3-4 years later, that's when they hired me.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Small world.
Yeah. Wow. It was kind of like one of them meant to be moments.
Yeah.
We became great friends. We still are great friends. He's such a good guy. He writes incredible songs and he's a great entertainer.
Absolutely. Great band. I mean, just killer band.
Just a history of hits.
Yeah. Oh,
just a history of hits. Just years and years of hits.
I know, and unfortunately, and all our prayers are with him now. He's going through some tough stuff, man. It's tough for all of us, and I've said that the more brothers and sisters you have in music, the more people you love and you grow close to, it's the more things like this we have to deal with. But man, just feel for them and hope the best and praying for them.
Say a lot of prayers.
Lots of prayers.
Yeah, say a lot of prayers.
And we definitely keep Brad and his family in our prayers and the whole 3 Doors Down team. I know it's tough for all of them. So you go and you meet, so they're cool. You get on the road. Y'all are rocking and rolling. How long did that ride last? What was the transition out of that? And
that ride went for 20 years.
Wow.
Pretty much. It was like the end of 99 to the beginning of 2020.
Wow.
And then I just gone through a lot of stuff, personal stuff. Yep. And life was kind of tough on the personal side.
As it can be on if you do this for a living, it's definitely got its challenges. Yeah. It's one of those things. It's tough to live out on the road and be gone all the time, and it's a lot too. Especially, and back then, you guys probably weren't doing the weekend warrior thing where you guys were staying gone months at a time.
Oh yeah, totally. It's totally different from touring in country. Yeah. Leave on a Thursday, home on a Sunday, which I love. Yeah. But yeah, it was like leave on a Thursday, come home 4.5 weeks later on a Monday.
Right.
Something like that. But but it's awesome though. Yeah. Because you all become like this tight-knit group of brothers. It's a huge brotherhood, And we're still all friends, which is really cool. Even right down to every single tech I've ever worked with or hired over the years. And everybody we're all still tight because we had a crew that was together for about 14, 15 years. Same guys.
Wow. You get good when you put that kind of work together, yeah.
Oh yeah,
and it's got to be a good organization because I mean, a bad organization wouldn't be able to keep people that are that good for that long.
Yeah, and they were a good bunch of guys to work for. It was great. Yeah, it was great. But I needed to take a break for me. Yep. Yeah, and I'm old as hell. So it's time to live little bit of time for me. So I took a retirement in 2020 and kind of did my thing,
Yeah.
and then I got a call to go out with this other artist as a stage manager. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that for like 3 months. Yeah, that's great money. I'll go do that. And well, then COVID hit, it shut us all down. Nobody did anything.
Right. Yep. Oh yeah. Well, I think we got 9 shows in that year. We had a tour started. It was Justin, Tracy Lawrence, and Lainey Wilson opening the show, and we got about 9 shows in, and then got shut down that year. It's a bummer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just came home from the NAMM show. I went to the NAMM show. I went to SHOT Show in Vegas, and then came home for a week and went back out to Los Angeles to the NAMM show.
Yep.
And then they're relentless. The NAMM show, and then came home, and then the world shut down.
Right. And for everybody listening, the NAMM show is a huge music conference for all the vendors and everybody who makes musical instruments and anything pertaining to music. What's an acronym for?
Everything.
What is it? National Audio. I can't even think of it.
Musician. I should know this. National.
But you already told everybody you're old, so we can't be expected. Yeah. I'm old too. We can't be expected to know everything.
I can't remember shit.
Hell no, not if you rock and roll.
Not
if you rock and roll like we rock and rolled. It's a miracle we know.
I can't hurt
anything.
I can't even see out of my left ear anymore. It's that bad.
Oh, and SHOT Show he referenced in Vegas is a big outdoor hunting, ammunition, gear. Gun expo. I don't even know what.
Oh man, it's
outdoor world.
It's everything. It's body armor. It's knives. It's guns. It's
anything
everything.
In that world. SHOT Show. That's where. Yeah, it's a big deal in our world. So, are you a outdoorsman? You hunt and fish and all that good stuff?
I do not hunt. I do not fish.
Do you not?
I do like to shoot. I hate paper.
Gotcha.
I sling lead at paper a lot.
Yep, I get it.
But yeah,
I get it.
I enjoy shooting. I've been a shooter for years, but went hunting one time with my dad early on when I was young, and we were up in a tree stand. He stuck me up a tree stand in Greer, South Carolina. He's down the hill on another tree stand. I'm waiting. I'm probably about 10, 13 years old. Yeah. Muzzle loader.
Oh wow!
Had a muzzle loader.
Wow.
Yeah, bow hunting. It was like that area where you can hunt muzzle loaders and bows at the same time. Well, I was up there with a muzzle loader. Well, you get up in a tree stand like 4:30 in the morning. I'm a kid. I climb up there. I'm freezing. It's dark. I got this muzzle loader, and it's like
a damn cannon. Might as well be a damn cannon.
Yeah, 45 caliber muzzle loader. I'm sitting up there, and next thing I know, I wake up to bam yow, and I'm looking. Where's my gun? It had fallen. I dropped it out of the tree stand, hit the ground, shot up, went, I guess, by me somewhere.
Wow.
Anyway, hear Dad whistle like, "Oh, my son got one." I said, "Hey, help, help."
Oh, yeah.
That was the first and last. That's the first and the last time I went deer hunting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'll scar you. I mean, we got to be honest. Dad didn't really set you up for success there. I mean, left you solo first time out with a muzzle loader, and I mean it's hard enough with Dad freezing cold with a 30-aught or a 243 or something or
something.
What did I have? 20 gauge with a slug in it, or I think was my first time hunting. I went some when I was young. Never got into it like you. It was too early. It was too cold. I never loved it growing up. Then I got into it, and now that I'm older, I do enjoy it. But it's for, and I don't do it hardly ever. But getting out in the woods, but being with nature, I think it's beautiful. Forcing myself to be up.
I love that.
And going out and being there. Like went to Colorado and shot an elk a couple years ago. Just that kind of stuff. I love. Nice. And I've been hunting for elk several times and didn't take any game, but enjoyed it just as much because I'm walking through the mountains of Colorado in the daybreak with my buddy. This is beautiful. I mean, I'm a kid from nowhere, Mississippi, Alabama. How am I here? So I still love it for that.
Right.
And the actual taking of the game. Like I've got a freezer full of elk meat. I love eating wild game. I'm an eater in general. You can't tell. I don't miss no meals, and I love wild game, and elk's one of my favorites. So I make sure to, and then I keep deer meat around. Obviously, I live in Alabama. We always got some deer meat around.
Yeah,
but I don't go as much. But I did grow up fishing. I loved fishing growing up. I grew up on a big lake in Alabama, and even pond fishing back in Mississippi. I just always liked fishing, and now I live down here on the Gulf and have been fishing twice in the past 5 years, probably. I never get to go. I can't quit working long enough to go fishing.
I used to fish a lot when I was a kid. I grew up this neighborhood I live in, and I grew up in, and we have a lake down at the bottom of the hill here, and there's big old bass up in there. And I did a lot of fishing when I was a kid, but I got into guitars and motorcycles. Dirt bikes, and guitars, and just, fishing just kind of went away,
I know.
You grow up and grow out of it. I've casted a rod a few times here and there once in a while, but I do like to get out in the woods and hike around and get out in the woods, just walk around, and just like separate, reconnect. Something about nature. It's just, it resets you.
Absolutely.
It resets me.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling,
Yeah.
I'm not a tree hugger, but I'll go up and hug a tree.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm with you, brother. I'm the same. I feel exactly the same. Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, there's something about it, getting out there in that rhythm and just feeling, and when you hear everything in harmony, you hear the birds and the this and the wind blow, it just all works. And just, it's I think we all need it. I think that's one thing that's lacking is we've all gotten too disconnected from that. And I know people try to get out and do it, but it was bad enough when we were kids with regular television and radios, but now with these, being able to take them everywhere with a phone, I mean, it's hard being in nature and not trying to take pictures and listen to your headphones. And I have to tell myself that when I'm riding my bike sometimes, like, no, don't put a podcast on. Just drive your bike and listen to the road and listen to the birds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There you go.
But so let's go back. We'll keep going the origin story here, how you got to where you're at now. So 2020, you take a break. You're like, I need a break off the road. I've been running hard. It's time to get a little reset. You find a gig as a stage manager. Was this with a country act?
No, this is with a really big, famous pop act.
Pop act. Okay, so you get the gig with the pop act that doesn't happen because COVID steps in, and some really bad, and obviously it's easy to say in hindsight, decisions were made by the would-be leaders of the free world and all around the globe on how to handle this situation that it just has just still feeling the effects and pain of those decisions made then. That's a podcast for another day, but nonetheless,
that's another one.
Everybody's trying to do their best they can to figure out this new scenario that we don't have mentors to go back and ask, what did you do when you had your pandemic? Because no one had ever been through this. There was no playbook on how to deal with it. We could have went back and asked somebody what it was like to go through a war. How did you tour when a war was happening? But we don't know anything about this. So we're all just trying to figure out and waiting and hoping and trying to navigate. And then it slowly starts cracking open. Then we start doing some renegade shows where we're like, well, if they'll let us come, we'll go play. And then slowly some stuff where you'd have to go play on a racetrack, but then the people would have to be 100 yards away from you, or everybody had to gather up in these cubicles that were 4 feet apart. You had to stay in your cage while you watched the concert, or
it was crazy.
It was crazy, or a concert online with no live audience, which a few of them were really special, but most of the time that just doesn't work. The band needs the audience. The audience needs to be there. Virtual doesn't work in that. It's a connection that has to happen.
Man, people need to be close to the artist. They want to be. That's why they come to the show.
You got to feel the music. You got to feel that kick drum coming through the PA,
Heck yeah. And it's a certain amount of energy that's there. Just the excitement of being around everybody and then enjoying the same music together. It's exciting.
It's something that's been around since the beginning of time. People singing and
where will we be without music?
Right.
Yeah, we got to have music, right?
I mean, it's probably one of the first things they ever wrote down when they made books was some music notes or something to remember. Music. It was the lyrics to a song, their favorite song, or something. So then it starts cracking back open. So are you back? You're obviously in North Carolina. How does the door start opening for you to want to try to go back on the road once going on the road is an option?
Lost you. You
Oh,
froze.
sorry. So I was just saying, I was asking, so once it did start letting up, how did you
Yeah.
re-enter into the touring world?
Well, I really wasn't looking. I started uh, doing audio again. I started doing like audio for corporate gigs, big corporate gigs. I was doing a lot of local corporate gigs, and I was making really good money. Just come home, sleep in my bed every night.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of enjoying that. But over time, it got kind of boring. Then I get a phone call. It's like, "Would you be interested in touring, working with a country artist?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll give that a try. I've never done that before. Heard it's fun, and I figured it, be one of his artists." And I sent him a resume, which I'd never had. I had to put one together. I sent him a resume, and I get a call a week or two later, come over and sit down, let's have a conversation. And then I got hired for a country artist.
Yeah.
You know him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I went out and did 2023 with him. Did the entire 2023 with him.
And then
And
so that was 2023. So that's about the time everything was really back full tours by this
really
point.
back kicking, backing up. Yeah. Big show, big package, a lot of trucks, a bunch of buses, bunch of great guys, killer crew, killer tour guys. I mean, seasoned boys that have been out there a while and knew what was going on. And I was
excellent band.
Excellent production manager.
Yes. Legend.
Yes. Legend. Just a good camp, man. Did that for 2023, and then took another break and started dating this someone, and did that for a while. And it's like out of the blue, I get this call from this guy, and let it go to voicemail, because if you're not in my phone, which I got a lot of numbers in my phone, and I just, cause the spam call.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And I figured it's a spam call, so I just hit go to voicemail, read the voicemail. It's like, "Hi, my name's Dylan Carmichael. I got your name from Shannon from the travel agent. Da da da. Just give me a call back. Let's talk about." And I was like, "Oh, this sounds cool." Googled him, listened to all his music. I was like, "Wow, this guy's pretty good." Found out that he knew our buddy, the Legend. Called the Legend, said, "Hey man, what you think about this guy?" And he was like, "I've known him since he was 6, kind of thing." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And called him back, and we talked for a while. Went to Nashville, sat down with management, had a little meeting. Next thing you know, we're going out on the road supporting Luke Bryan on a bunch of shows.
Yeah.
And that was our first date. Went out on the road, drove all the way up to Cuyahoga Falls.
Okay, New
York.
Did a
Luke Bryan show.
Yeah.
Went up there and did a Luke Bryan show. I mean, how that goes. It was fun, man. First day out, though, it was like Dylan wasn't in the van. It was just like me, the band guys that I just
Hey, there you are.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back. I've got these notes, so we'll make sure to edit this out. But so you're heading up. Dylan's not in the van with you, but so it's the rest of the band that you had just met.
Just met, crawled into the van, and I'd driven over the night before from Charlotte to Nashville, crawled in this van, went to sleep. 4 hours into the ride, Shayla's waking me up going, "Hey, van's broke down." And I went, "Okay."
Oh, wow.
Right out the gate, man. No air conditioning. Van's not really broken down. It's just so hot you can barely stand it. One of those nice Sprinter vans. Yeah. And we struggled with it, and they brought a mechanic out, and they couldn't get it fixed. And we just my solution was, well, it's going to be dark soon. It's going to be cooler at night, so if we just sit here another hour, we'll get in the van. It won't be bad. And that's what we did. We made the rest of the trip, got up there, and did our shows, and that's how I met the band. It was a crisis the first day out.
So you're right in the fire, see if sink or swim.
Yeah. And they were like, "Can you go ahead and Venmo me my per diem?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to, man, but I got no service where we're at." So it's like, luckily you carry around some floats, so everybody got their per diem in cash, so they could go inside and eat a fish sandwich while we sat and waited on the guy to try to work on the van.
Right.
Which he did for like hours. And that solution that we came up with, we're going to just wait till the sun goes down, and we're just going to run the front air, and we're going to be fine.
That's the best option.
And we did. Yeah, yeah, we did, and it worked out.
And
We got through that.
then you get up, and then you
But
get
then,
there, and then so you get to the show, and Dylan must have flown in because he probably had something else he needed to be at that morning, radio tour type stuff.
yeah,
That's another level too. You're like,
yeah,
hopefully his flight doesn't get delayed or miss a connection or something like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, one hiccup and you get to the next one, you get to the next one. Little potholes on the road. We just seem to glide right over them some way, shape, or form. But yeah, Dylan shows up. We have a great show. Did two more dates with Luke and came back home, and then went back out the next week. I just love coming home on a Sunday, man, and not having to go back to work till Friday, even though I do work during the week. Just like you,
Right.
we're always getting phone calls and always getting you know, you call these people when you're at work, but they seem to call you back when you're really taking Sunday, Monday off.
Yes, yes. I mean, like a Sunday and Monday, well, it just blows my mind. I'm like, good and well, this is the only time I've got to do anything I want to do. Can you please do this on normal business hours? But our normal business hours are weird. It's like, yeah, can you call me on Friday after sound check before I've got my security meeting? That'd be the best time for me, But it might not be the best time that day because I don't know what's going to happen that day yet. So.
Yeah, I usually try to do all my advances in the morning.
Yeah.
I like to drop them all emails and lay it all out and just do a follow-up call and walk through the details of it, and everybody seems happy when we do that.
Yep.
So it's not really that hard, but I like to do it earlier in the morning before noon if I can, because your afternoons, like could get busy and you never know what's going to happen, even on a small scale with just Dylan. I mean, things change all the time.
All the time. All the time. I mean, yeah, and you never know where you're going to be and what the situations are. I mean, some nights it's a big tour in an arena, and some nights it's a state fair and a county fair or a fundraiser you just never know,
Yeah. Yeah. You could be doing all kinds. That's what's cool about this. We never have the same office every day.
Right.
We're set up somewhere different every day.
Yep.
Every time you look out your office window, you're looking at new scenery.
Yeah.
How many people get to do that?
Right. And then sometimes it's really cool, like at the Gorge, or Red Rocks or,
Red Rocks. Yeah.
Some cool venues like that. Well, yeah, and you probably had the same first impression as I did when Dylan, you see him. He's a handsome guy. He's so nice and just normal, just polite young man, and can sing. Has got a great natural Kentucky accent, like his uncles, who are great entertainers and singers. I mean, Hall of Famers, Eddie and John Michael. And when I first met him, we were talking the other day, when I first met him, his mom was still in the band singing backup in the band with him, wearing her Kentucky Wildcat jersey. And I thought that was awesome, and then I met him out. I think one of the first times we met, he was doing a show with us, and I was walking back from the meet and greet, and he was doing the John Party song, Country Women. Country women really turn me on. It's a country a song.
Yeah.
And I'm walking by and I'm thinking, that's a John song. Because I was with John. I was John Party's road manager when that song was that was in the set, and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So then I go meet Dylan. John's helping him produce a record. He's working with Bart.
Yep.
And he was doing that song, and then we've stayed connected ever since. That's been several years, and we've done a lot of shows with Dylan. CJ, who used to work with him, is an old buddy of mine. And Joey G from our camp, they've been buddies for a long time, and he know Wayne Mills and Jamie Johnson, some of our mutual friends from Alabama. So I've always had like a thing there. But Dylan himself, him and Shayla, both just nice, good people. I remember when during the pandemic, I think we had Dylan on the Justin Moore podcast during that time. I think we did. But this is during the time when he was going around and replacing people's weathered American flags in his neighborhood. He was just going to anybody he saw that needed a new American flag, he would go give him a new one and take care of it for him. I mean, what a good kid. Yeah, and he wasn't he wasn't capturing this for social content. They were not even taking pictures. He was just doing it.
That is awesome.
Very cool.
That is really awesome. Yeah, he's been a godsend to me, man. It's like a blessing to get to work with somebody like this. This is a rare moment.
Yeah,
It's really
for
cool.
somebody like
And
you,
Shayla is awesome. His entire family is
yeah,
amazing. You know,
even his dogs
it's
are sweet.
awesome.
I know.
I love them both.
I know.
They're my nephews.
You're right. You got to have them. But and that's the thing. And for them, they're still wide eyed. For somebody who's been on the road a long time with you, it's not that you're not still excited about these things, but people you've worked with before, you've just done it so many times. It's not the first time. With Dylan, a lot of this stuff still. They're enjoying this for the first time to go do these things and be in these places. The first time they've ever been to this town, and things like that, and it's neat to see someone else enjoying it for the first time because it's been a long time since our first time.
I agree. It's refreshing to watch it happen. It's absolute blessing to be part of his story. It really is, because he's going to have a good story. You know what I mean? His new record that just came out last week is smoking hot. If you haven't heard any of it, you ought to go listen to it. It's really good.
Yep. Everybody go. That's the music of the week this week. Go download Dylan Carmichael's new album anywhere you listen
Keeping
to
Country
music.
Alive.
Keeping Country Alive. I've got it downloaded. I hadn't been all the way through it yet. I need to rock that ASAP. I got a few on standby I need to listen to. My buddy Terry Lee Palmer's got a new album coming out. I got to make sure to listen to that too.
Yeah, he does.
But yeah, Dylan sings so well. He writes. So I've liked everything he's ever done, everything he's ever put out. Son of a. I thought Son of a was such a good song, and they did that with Party too. Though Party put out a handful of great songs that didn't get no love when they should have too. Sometimes that's just the way
it's crazy, ain't it?
It's so wild. I've talked about that on several episodes of this. I had Opie, Tommy McDonald, Tracy Lawrence's tour manager, and Tracy still puts out solid gold country, but they ain't gonna let nothing happen with it. Joe Nichols puts out great music. They just not gonna let them have a big hit with it anymore. And no knock on any of the young artists that are dominating the charts. But give some of this other, if it's art and about placing art where it needs, some of this other stuff needs to be included in this and not forgotten, because it's really great art. It just is. You know what I mean?
It really is.
It's just great. So I'm hoping they'll let Dylan break on through with one of these soon. It's all the power of a song in any genre. It's just what song connects, and if it takes off, hang on kind of deal, really,
Yeah, big time.
But I agree.
It's like when Kryptonite hit. Hang on, it took off. All you need is one. You just need one.
Yep.
Yep. And then it seems like to me, it's like if you get that one traction off that one song and you get a hit, people are going to look back through your library, and then they're going to become more
absolutely
up there. And you know what I mean? You might have 2-3 hits off a record before you know it.
Well, think about how many hits Willie Nelson had. What, 2 number ones maybe? Charlie Daniels, Devil Went Down to Georgia. But, is there anybody more recognized than Willie and Charlie Daniels? You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly. So
exactly. But Dylan's gonna do great.
Oh yeah,
I know he is. He's gonna do great.
Yeah, he's got great. His albums sound great, and he's got a great voice. And he's one of those guys. Like I said, if you don't believe they're special, he can get a guitar and sit in a room with no help and show you why he's special. He's that good. He can, and when he's done, you'll be like, "Wow, that kid's good." It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
And
he's talented too when it comes to technical stuff. I mean, like we push in gear, and he's over there programming wirelesses. You know what I mean? How many guys come in and do that? Yeah,
none.
He wants to know everything. And I think that's so awesome, which is really cool.
Well, it'll pay off in the long run. That's what makes it.
Absolutely.
That's what makes a good tour manager, is knowing a little bit about all the other stuff. And if you're the artist, it would behoove you to know how all this stuff works, so people aren't talking over your head when they talk about things. At least you have some working knowledge of what they're talking about.
For real, definitely.
And you don't want to micromanage, but you also don't want to be wasteful, and you got to be on top of your stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I know you've got a bunch of other stuff to do today, and it was great catching up, man. I want to have you on again. We'll do this later on this year and recap where we've been from now until later this year, and that'll be fun. We'll see where we're both at that point. I'm sure we'll do a bunch of shows together.
I hope so. I love working with you, man. Just on the couple of shows that we've been together, it's like meeting you. I've heard your name in the business for years. I mean, I think we have a couple mutual friends out there.
Oh yeah, no, you're
Yeah,
going back to, and I'll go to that before I go through my little. I've got about 5 or 6 questions that kind of wrap up. I ask every guest. We'll do real quick, but
yeah.
and this kind of, we already kind of answered touring personnel and mentors. One of my favorite touring, well, my ultimate favorite touring buddy of all time was Terry Lee Palmer, just because he is so easy to get along with. He is so talented, and he's just my bro. And he don't ever talk, and I don't ever shut up. So we are just like we're like perfect for each other. But one of my other favorite guys, and part of the reason I got the Justin Moore gig is because me and this guy became friends, was Swaggy Keith Dixon.
That's the mutual friend we have.
I remember him all because he was buddies with Three Doors, and they always talk about his buddy Gary.
He became a merch guy because I hired him.
That makes sense.
Did you know that?
I didn't know. I knew he was a merch guy there. I didn't know the connection, but you hired him. You were the TM at the time.
Yeah, I said, hey man, I can't do this merch stuff. I got too much stuff to do. Can I hire a guy to sell merch? And I ran across Keith and through a buddy of mine that was a singer in a rock band here in Charlotte, and they were laying tile together. That's what they did. And he said, you ought to take this kid out there. He wants to do something in the music business. I was like, okay. So I grabbed a hold of Keith, took him out on the road, and taught him how to do merchandise.
Wow.
And man, he took off, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's worked with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's worked with a ton of people doing merch. I mean, now he runs the greatest little record store in Nashville.
Absolutely. That's what I wanted to talk about that. I want to have him on at some point. I haven't talked to Swaggy in years. We text randomly sometimes, but we became fast friends when I got the Justin. When I came on, when I first met Justin Moore, I was working for John Party. We were the opening act on his tour 2013. It was John, then Dustin Lynch, and then Justin Moore is his tour. And I have to go meet Justin's merch guy to figure out merch. At this point, I'm a one-man show. It's me and John in the band. No production manager, no production team, no techs, no merch guy. I'm doing everything. So I'm tipping people out and setting things up this way. So I buddy up with Swaggy. We work out a great deal. He's from Mississippi. I'm originally from Mississippi.
Yep.
we figure out, we start making jokes, and I mean, we're just cutting up, talking about the jam band scene, grilled cheese, and making T-shirts in the parking lot to follow Panic all summer. We're just laughing because we have a lot of similar interest on things like that, background, and we become fast friends. And then the end of that year, I start working for Justin, and I'm on the road with Swaggy for several years there. He was working for Richards and Southern, which is one of the big merchandise companies there in Nashville, and then he came off the road, was doing some stuff with his family and this and that. And then, like you said, he opened Swaggy Records in Nashville, Tennessee, and has become one of the coolest, best, most well-known record shops in the South for sure. Definitely Nashville. And I'm loving it.
Good.
He's doing great. It's awesome. And I follow him on Insta, and I want to go up there and go to the store. I hadn't been yet, but it just very cool idea, and of course he executed it. He was always a hard worker. He would always be trying to do things. We get off the road, he's looking for something else to do. He was it made sense that he could pull something like that off, and that's just a small world, that the mutual connection there.
Man, he's been successful in every little venture he's gone into. It's like he really made his way through that whole merch thing, that being like lead merch guy on a major tour, and then but it's like when he left Three Doors, because I used to joke around about like, hey Swaggy, we should just go home, say screw all this, and start a lawn business. I heard it was fun. We just ride around on lawnmowers all day. Well, that kid came home, started a lawn business, real successful one here in Charlotte, know, and he's making jack, and he's got like 5 trucks and 6 crews and all this stuff going on. It's like, holy crap. And then he got the itch to go back on the road, and that's when I think he hooked up with you guys and doing merch with all you guys. And then he decided he wanted to start a record store, and good Lord.
I know, it just took off. I know.
He's got the touch of gold. He's got the Midas touch.
He's got the Midas touch. I always told him he looks like Clark, or he looks like Superman. Looks like Clark Kent. So he might actually be Superman. He's funny as heck. I always like old Swaggy. We need to reach out. Hopefully he'll catch this clip off this podcast and he'll reach out and we can reconnect, and maybe we can we'll do
I'll hook you up with him.
Yeah, we need to.
We ought to do a 3-way podcast.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. That
would be cool with him.
Gosh, I wish we could dial him in right now. I wish he'd answer. I wonder what he's doing. Oh man,
he's down there with his daddy in Mississippi.
Is he? Okay, I get it. Yeah, down in Guntown, Mississippi.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, yeah, and there's probably a lot more, and that's when you get out on the road, you realize there's a lot more connections than you think you have. It's a lot smaller world than you think it is a lot of times, you know.
Yeah, we're less than 1% of the population that gets to do what we love for a living.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, I've got, like I mentioned earlier, I've got a few things I do as cleanup here. It's a couple of questions that seem fun and get some stuff out of from all of our guests. First one I got. What's your birthday, Gary?
Let me think. I think it's April the 21st, 1961.
All right. I got. I'll get to that in just a sec.
You need a social too?
No, you can text me that. So is this the first podcast you've ever done?
How can you tell?
No, I do seriously, because I know some have.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely, the very first podcast I've ever done.
See, that's a damn shame. That's why I'm doing this podcast, because people like you should have told your story 10 times, and I should be digging for more gold. But right now, I'm introducing to everybody to the characters in the movie that is country music behind the scenes. So this is like
I love your show.
Yeah, this is just a formal introduction. This is all the people that'll be discussed and you'll see in the movie. This is introducing the characters. Now when we tell stories, you'll know who we're talking about. So that's part of this whole deal. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So the next thing I got, we already went through the personnel. Next thing I got here is birthday number 1. And did you what kind of music did you grow up listening to? Did you listen to country growing up any?
Yeah, a little bit, but Mom was more into Herb Alpert and Tijuana Brass and Elvis. Oh yeah. And, oh gosh. And Dad was they were all into Johnny Cash, all about some Johnny Cash. And I guess I grew up in a mixture of Elvis, Beatles, country, and then rock. And then I discovered this band called Kiss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Kiss Alive 2 came out. It was like, okay, I like rock and roll better, so
Kiss hooked a lot of people I've met over the years on rock and roll.
Yeah, them and Grand Funk, a band called Grand Funk back in the day.
Yeah, rock and roll. I love it. Well, this is birthday number 1. This is the number 1 song in country music on the day you were born. So this is April 21st, 61. Your dad got the day off. He's on 24 on, 24 off. He had 24 off to make sure he was there with your mom at the hospital. She had some Herb Alpert playing in the background when they left the hospital, but now they're in the truck and you're heading back home and they turn on the radio and the disc jockey from the big country channel there in Charlotte comes on and said, the number 1 song in country music today is, do you have any guess on who it possibly could be?
Wow.
1961.
Let's see. I was just born, so I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I don't know, man. I have no clue.
I'll try to drop you a couple hints, see if you can recognize it.
Give me a hint.
He was kind of like a Johnny Cash figure. He was around that same era, obviously, but one of his first records that kind of defined his sound was "Ballad of a Gunfighter." He had a kick-ass mustache. He was always smiling and laughing when you see him in these things. He was great. Let's see. How else could I do
Marty
this?
Robbins?
Yes, sir. There you go. Marty Robbins.
Marty Robbins?
Marty Robbins.
Love Marty Robbins.
Of course you do. That's perfect.
I met him at Charlotte Motor Speedway back when he drove a race car.
My next thing I was going to say is he drove race cars. I knew that would tell it off.
I'll be dog.
Yep, my granddad
met
him. My granddad met him back in the 50s in Jackson, Mississippi, when he was doing like dirt track stuff. Marty would come through with his team and this and that. And anyway, hey, you guessed it. You're one of the few.
White sport coat. white sport coat and
pink
right?
carnation. That's it. That's it.
That's awesome.
Big Iron come to town, and it's he's one of the ones. You're one of the first ones that's guessed that. Most people, I can't get it out of what it is, and you guessed it on the money. Marty Robbins. The song is it's not obscure, but it's not one of the ones we mentioned. The song is "Don't Worry," which. How fitting that the day you were born, the number one song in country was Marty Robbins' "Don't Worry, Don't Worry."
That's awesome.
Your parents are driving home, you in between them, no seatbelt, probably sigging it up, and Marty Robbins is singing "Don't Worry," and everybody's just smiling. It's a beautiful day in North Carolina, baby.
That's awesome. I'm going to download that now.
You got to. That's your song. That's your new song. I
got to, man. That's killer.
That's your
jam.
Love it. Oh, man. I love it.
Thanks for the intel.
Yeah, man. I love it when that works out. Mine was Conway Twitty. I may never get to heaven, but I once came mighty close. How about that?
You're going to heaven.
Oh, yeah. Man, what a great tune. I got to Marty. Don't worry. I got to write that down because that's a good one to remember. Next one I've got here is big phone number. And it doesn't have to be the most famous person or the most followed person or that. Or just what number in your phone do you have that still shocks you when you see it? You're like, I can't believe I got their number. How ain't that wild I've got their number? Whether it be an entertainer, an athlete, a politician. Which one would still shock you? You're like, I can't believe I have their number. Or who would people be shocked to know you had their number?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know, man. Got a lot of numbers.
I know it's tough, right?
They'd probably be really shocked to know that I have your number in my phone.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe if they didn't know we were doing the podcast, maybe so. Because we meet a lot of people on the road. I mean, obviously, a lot of singers, but we meet other people like race car drivers or basketball players.
Yeah, I got a couple of those guys' numbers, just like you do. I don't know, man. That's hard to say. I got a lot of cool numbers from some really cool people that you really can't really talk about.
Yeah, that happens.
You know
too.
what I mean?
I know. I had
you look at that number and go, man, I'm not calling that until I absolutely have to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll leave that one. I had one a couple weeks ago, and I don't have number. Like I've got a bunch of cool ones, but somebody was like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's like, I still freak out when I'm thumbing through. I'm like, I can't believe I have Stone Cold's number, and I have it in there as Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I bet you got a bunch of numbers in your phone.
I got a few.
Well, I'm glad.
You know how it is, and a lot of them's just random. You just random meeting. You're at this event, and next thing you know, you're doing we're doing a spot, and there's Sam Elliott, or there's whoever. You just never know. You get at these things, and it's like some charity thing, and then you look around, you're like, oh, this is so and so and so and so's here. Okay, I know. I'm aware of that.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing the people we get to hang out with.
Yeah,
generally meet and not even know.
Yeah, exactly. It's even cooler. And I watched last night. It just came on YouTube or something. Was when Justin remade the Motley Crue Home Sweet Home song, and I forgot there, and my now wife was there with me in Nashville when we did that music video, and I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, we hung out with Motley Crue all day. That's back when I still smoked cigs. We hung out outside of 3rd and Lindsley and smoked all the way up until the time they needed us inside to shoot these shots, and hung out with Motley Crue all day. And then fast forward about 2 years later, I got my wife some Motley Crue tickets from Vince to go, or Nikki or somebody got her some tickets to go see him in New Orleans. I'm like, yeah, how do I know Motley Crue? You know what I mean? How do I know Motley Crue?
Yeah, it's crazy. We know a lot more people than we think we know too, if you think about it. I mean, it's like, we run across all kind of people every day, all different kind of people from different walks of life, And dude, and most of them are pretty famous.
And cool, and they usually are just there because they enjoy music, and it's like a lot of the entertainers want to be athletes, and athletes want to be entertainers. You'll see that a lot. You're gonna love country, man. I'll ask you that question 2 years from now, and you're gonna be like, psh. Here's half of this football team, the coach from here, the governor from this state that we did their benefit. I mean, that's just the country. You end up in a lot of those, and it's country, so it's more. personable. I don't know if that's a good word, but they're, it's expected. We do a lot of these events and fun, and they're not expecting to come through like rock stars and just disappear and show up and pop away. It's like country people are more approachable, so you end up meeting a lot of people firsthand. I mean, we're at a show, and it doesn't work for Dylan because he's a Kentucky guy, but we're at a show the other week in Louisville, and the promoter taps me on the shoulder. He said, "Hey, you got any problem with the Louisville's football coach and his family standing side stage and watching the show?" I'm like, "No, of course not. Come on over." Shook hands, hello, had no idea. It's the football coach. He used to be the quarterback there. And I'm like, just random. I guess they just wanted to pop in. They live by the venue. I'm like, of course, come on in. And so I didn't swap numbers that time. I normally do, but I'm sure I could get a number or connect with the person if we needed to. But just a random, there's the head coach of Louisville. If I was a Louisville guy, it'd be super amazing. Or if somebody in the band was, they would freak out, But I was like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Hope we beat you. If you play Alabama, I hope y'all don't do that well that day. Good luck the rest of the time." That's all right. So we'll go on to my next one here. Mount Rushmore of music. Since you're not a straight country guy, we'll just do yours all genres. What if you had to have a Mount Rushmore of music? And you may have answered that earlier with your early influences. What's the big four for music would you put on your Mount Rushmore?
Oh man, let's see. Mount Rushmore music. Definitely Brad Arnold for sure. He's going to be one of them from the rock and roll.
Absolutely.
And then wow. How many guys are on Mount Rushmore? I'm just kidding. There's 4.
We do 4, but we do an honor. There's 4 with an honorable mention.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. So first off, Brad Arnold, obviously.
So we're going Brad Arnold, number 1. Got Elvis on the list for sure.
Elvis is on the list for sure. Johnny Cash, because
I mean,
and then
icon.
Yeah, right. Wow. Who did I really, really, really couldn't stop listening to when I was growing up? Beethoven.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Got to put the classical music in there.
Man, good stuff. Yeah, and see, if mine, I usually just do a straight country one, but my all music.
Oh, wow.
My all music, Mount Rushmore. Boy, that's tough. That would be just about impossible because I'd only want to have one spot for like jazz, and that would be almost impossible. Like, how am I going to pick between Louis Armstrong and Miles Davis?
Yeah. There's even more. Coltrane.
I know.
There's tons more. I know.
And I'd have to do each genre. But even then, it's impossible because I got to have one spot for classic rock or the rock that I really love is more. It's not the harder stuff. It's more the band, Little Feat, Wet Willie, Tucker Band, Charlie Daniels. I love all that era of rock. So I mean, I couldn't. How would I pick between Little Feat and the band? I mean, I would not be able to. And then where am I going to put Steely Dan? What category am I going to put them in?
Oh, and then there's Steely Dan. Yeah,
I'm from Mississippi, Alabama. So Elvis is probably going to have to be there somewhere. But then there's Dolly. How do I leave Dolly off any big list when you talk about entertainers of all time? But I've said this. To me, I think the most important figure in American music of all time is Louis Armstrong. I think his contribution at the time when it happened and the transformation that was going on, without Louis Armstrong, a lot of what we know of music now doesn't exist. And that goes as far as like when they would, when we were at war with the world, they would send Louis Armstrong and them over there to sing for them. And I mean, basically ambassadors for our country were our best musicians. I mean, that means they're important when you're doing that. I mean, that's how important
Absolutely.
they are. You know what I mean?
That is
at a time that crucial, that's what we go with, and it works because they are who they are. Yeah. Wow. We'll have another podcast on rock in a couple of months. Then we'll do one on jazz, and then we'll do one on classical.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
We'll deep dive some records.
You'll lose all your viewers.
No. Hey, I've got a dozen diehards, and they'll ride with us till the wheels fall off. They'll enjoy it too.
I like that. I love talking music, but
Me too, bro.
I love talking about music more than I love talking about myself. I don't even like talking about myself, but I like talking about music and experiences and cool things that we've got to do. But yeah. We're just blessed to have music, man.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
I'm the same way. But I did want to get these podcasts out just because I think a lot of people don't understand what it takes to get where we're at, what the journey can be, what it looks like. A lot of people may have no idea on how to even begin, or if they want to or they don't want to. I just think it's something that needs to be captured for all time.
Yeah, you and I just skimmed over it, a little pieces of it today. There's so much more we could go into about it, but
yeah, like I said, I just want to introduce everybody to the characters, and then we'll get deeper into each story as the chapters come along,
Right on. Definitely. Do I get that honorable mention for my Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, who you got?
Dylan Carmichael.
Hey, I knew it was. I knew that was coming. It has to. DC in the house. Absolutely.
DC's in the house, man.
Well, my
right
last
in front of my face.
Yep. Well, my last question I've got here, and I want to get this one, and then we can wrap up because I know you got stuff to do and advance calls as well as I do. But what's your favorite venue? Or people always ask me this. What's your favorite venue or town to go play and work?
Wow. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Venue wise, I think Red Rocks is probably one of my most favorite. I mean, ever, period, on the face of the earth. That's one of my most favorite ones.
Pain in the butt to load in, but the actual doing of the show is amazing.
Yeah, we don't have to do that though.
Yeah, true.
Back the truck up to the dock and they haul it up there for us. It is a pain to load in if you got multiple trucks though. It's a great venue.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've been there, you've seen it. It's undescribable. Backstage is just so natural and just so beautiful. And they take good care of you there. Yep. Yeah, I think Red Rocks is my favorite venue ever. Yeah, baby.
You can't take, and we're in Colorado, so everybody's chill, everybody's having fun, it smells good, everything's nice and pleasant out there. You gotta love touring out west. Oh, well, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Tell everybody in Camp DC.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm glad we got to do it. Like I said, I'm glad we've became new friends. I look forward to doing more shows with you. I'm glad we got to come on and tell a little bit of your story. And like I said, we'll reconvene in a few months and get deeper into some of this stuff and dive in some different music and get another round.
Let's do it. Thanks again for having me, man. Let's get together, go fishing, and have a beer.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Yes.
What's the schedule? What do you guys got the rest of the summer? Lots of fairs, festivals, all that stuff?
Yeah, man. I was just working on it just a few minutes ago. Leave on Thursday, come back on Sunday. But we got a lot of fairs and festivals. Opening for support for Eastern Corbin tomorrow or Thursday, Friday.
Nice.
No, Friday. Can you tell I'm a tour manager?
Yeah, right.
Friday. And then we're doing a headline show in Carrollton, Georgia at the amphitheater down there on Saturday. Yeah.
Nice.
Banging around.
That's how we do
Waiting
it.
on that song to take off like a rocket.
That's right. It's coming. It just don't know when they hadn't started. We don't know when the countdown's going to start. It's coming. We just don't know when the countdown.
It's coming. Countdown started.
There we go.
I don't know what number they started on, but it's started.
There you go. There you go. Well, everybody go to DylanCarmichael.com. You can check out his tour dates there. What's your social handles, Gary?
I'm 13 Loudboy 13 on IG.
There you go.
On Instagram.
On the Insta. Well, I'll make sure to tag you on when I put this stuff out, and I'll send it to you before we get it done.
Right on. For sure.
But again, my guest today, the great Gary Pettus, thank you for coming on, brother. We'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks for having me.
Y'all be safe, brother.
Man.
I will see you soon.
All right. Love you, bro. See ya.
Love you too, buddy. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was my conversation with Dylan Carmichael's tour manager, Gary Pettus. That was fun. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I didn't know very much of that at all until right now. And what we were saying about Dylan is the truth. He is so good and has great songs. Y'all go see Dylan Carmichael at a show if he comes near your town. You won't regret it. Thanks to everyone for tuning into the show, sharing this show. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. Share it with a friend. That helps us a lot. Give us a rating on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you watch or listening to the show. It helps the show grow and us keeping this thing on the tracks moving forward. Thank you to everybody who sent text and voicemails to the show. I've listened to them. I'm going to have a special segment or something dedicated to those soon. We're going to play a bunch of those. We've just been slammed lately. But keep them coming. 424 Handler, at JR the Handler on Insta, Twitter, X, all that good stuff. YouTube, at JR the Handler. JRThehandler.com will have links to all of this. So tell your friends. We appreciate it. Now I'm going to read this week's chapter from Let's All Make the Day Count, the Everyday Wisdom of Charlie Daniels. Number 7, going up, coming down. The eyes of the arrogant will be humbled, and human pride brought low. Isaiah 2:11. I once knew a man, a talented, driven man, whose work ethic knew no bounds. He went the extra mile and burned the midnight oil in pursuit of success. And he achieved success, great success, until he was perched near the pinnacle of his profession with money and accolades coming from many directions. He was sought after and much respected. The winds just kept on coming. The money kept rolling in, and his prestige and importance kept growing. But instead of receiving his blessings with humility and gratitude, he became arrogant and self-absorbed. He treated those around him disrespectful. He flaunted his power and acted as if his judgment superseded all others and should never be questioned. He belittled, made fun of, and embarrassed those he considered to be below his intellect and talent level. He pursued grandiose projects nobody else believed in and spent lavishly trying to find backing for self-indulgent pipe dreams nobody wanted any part of. Slowly, his fortune and his popularity drained away. The people he had treated badly, many of whom had gone on to prominence, had no interest in helping him. He died broken and bitter, never understanding why the world no longer had a place for him. I learned a lot from my observations. A little humility goes a long way, and pride truly does go before a fall. You meet the same people on the way down that you meet on the way up. Let's all make the day count.